movement, within the culture. Is that okay? And someone brought up the name Candace Owens.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why. One thing you look at her is that I think is she hates something within herself.
Yeah.
And I think she does.
Yeah.
And all jokes aside, I think when you get to that point, you hate something within yourself. So something could have happened in her personal life that some black person did to her that made her hate herself and hate black people. So now I'm gonna find a way to target you. That stuff happened. That stuff gonna be on till the end of time, where some people they get to a certain level of success and they enjoy it, and they look down on you and don't want to pick you up and carry you along with them and give you help. I hate those type of people, and I hate to use the word hate, but I think something happened to her. I just read the article today that she raised over $200,000, and then I'm going with Trump, blah blah blah. And you got some people just like, and I know it's kind of off topic, Nate. Even in the church that we seen when Trump was running for election, everybody running up to Trump. What do you call them? Do you call them Uncle Tom, or you just call them being black people?
That's what I'm asking.
Because they decide. I understand, but they look at they saying that they have a right to agree with them. I don't. They have every right. They have a right, even though they're black. Yeah. They're black. They have every right to believe in what Trump says. And I believe in what who was running against Trump at the time. I forgot who was running. Hillary. What was doing. So when we use that word, I just think that some people look at life different. They look at things differently versus what we look at.
For sure.
And so we can be all hardcore militant of that, but I just think they look at it differently, and they say that I don't see nothing wrong with it. Those black folks need to know their place. That sets people off. When they say black people need to know their place, I think they're unlearned and uneducated in certain ways, or I think something has happened to them that made them think that way. I think they've thought a different way. Either they went to a prestigious school and they were brainwashed. Something happened to make you think that way, or you could have been taught that way by your parents saying, when you go here, you did it. Everything I think is taught and learned behavior. And that's just my
it's brainwashing. It's brainwashing. It's looking at TV every day and seeing things, thinking that you're supposed to look a certain way, blah, 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 blah. But the point is that if you call out a term for it, then you can call it a Uncle Tom or whatever it is, regardless if they are intending on doing it or not, until they understand why they're getting called a term, and then gain new knowledge, and then say, oh, well, you know what? My views were based off of prejudice against, my own people. So now I understand why I was called Uncle Tom.
Yeah, I think it's very necessary. I think we have to call it as we see it, and we know. And the best sign of what we're talking about is Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan has for years ignored the black people that has supported him. He bought tennis shoes at a high number, and we are the ones that made it cool for suburban white kids to wear.
Right.
But he placated to the white side to say, well, they buy my shoes too, blah, 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 blah. And when we called him on the carpet on it and we said, we have zero respect for you because you're a black man that has made billions of dollars and you are still a slave enough where you are afraid to say what's on your mind. And so when we did that now, what is happening? Michael Jordan, who have never said anything for black community, is donating $100 million. Imagine he sat and watched Trayvon Martin. He sat and watched Eric Gardner. And if you go back and do the research of even Craig Hodges and why you didn't see Craig Hodges in The Last Dance, Craig Hodges tried to hold Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson accountable for the beating of Rodney King. And he said, hey, why don't we protest and not play this game for solidarity? So, and then Janelle Hill actually reported that whole story too. So it's like, now that we called him out, now that we called him Uncle Tom, now all of a sudden he has gained blackness for that he's been missing over the last 30 years, and somebody is getting $100 million. I don't know who's getting it, but somebody's getting $100 million from Michael Jordan.
Over 10 years.
Yeah, over 10 years, yeah.
I think Jordan's still the same person. That money don't mean nothing because it ain't coming out of his pocket. I don't think that $100 million coming out of his pocket. I think he did that to keep everybody from shutting up and keep go buy my Jordans. That's what I think that's what that was.
Hey,
and black folks
to our point.
And so he's smart. He's smart enough to say, get these niggas happy, let them be happy, and then give them money. It ain't coming out of my pocket. Somebody gonna pay it, and everybody leave me alone. And everybody still gonna go buy my Jordans that was back in 80 something. People gonna still buy it.
I'm with it. I'm with it, but it's so-called helped us.
It was a smart move on Jordan. Jordan is very smart. Where he says, I know how to keep everybody quiet, and then now he's out the news. He's backed up.
And I know this is gonna be probably the most unpopular statement that I've said, and this may get Nate's podcast shut down. I am never excited to hear Barack Obama to speak on Black issues in America. Because, I mean, let me explain why. Because unless you sat in the same seat, and he sat in the same seat as Donald Trump. So then, let's go back to Ferguson. Let's go back to Baltimore. His response was the exact same as Donald Trump. His words weren't the same. His response was. He could have proposed legislation just like Donald Trump could propose legislation, could go to the Senate and the House to propose legislation. Never once after Tamir Rice, Freddie Gray, any of these people to then say now, hey, but now it's easy to play money quarterback on a new sitting president when you don't have the power to say what he should do. That's why I'm like, he needs to be quiet. George Bush needs to shut up. George Bush has released a statement and he let us die in Katrina. So I'm like, and my thing, I'm like, I'm with you for the culture, but bro, you said, if anybody, you sat in the seat as a solution and you did nothing.
Let me ask you this. I disagree with some of it. Number one, let me say that I think Obama had the hardest job in the world. You may disagree with that.
I agree with you, Mark.
Because when he probably had proposed legislation that you don't know about that I guess Congress or House, I'm not educated enough on the Congress and the House, probably shot him down. And said, we ain't gonna fool with that. So, and then when I looked at Obama, he had to be the president for everybody. So hold on before you read. So
that's an excuse.
But no, it's not. It can't be an excuse because I think they fought him. He's the only president that somebody in the Senate, he's up and giving a speech and say you lying and just holler out. Ain't nobody done that to Donald Trump. So I think he had the hardest job in the world that he had to deal with racism on the whole end that I don't think when people saw Obama in, they thought he was going to have the black Jesus cape on and say today for all black people. That wasn't I don't think that was his intention.
Oh, but okay.
I think he could do, now, some things I know you're going to disagree with. Did he get gay rights stuff? And I know it's off topic a bit, Nate. Did he get gay rights for gays done? Yes. Because probably some people in the Senate House are probably gay and they probably wanted that. But some things for blacks, I think they fought him against that we don't know about.
But then
before you get that statement out, maybe research to see what legislation he had on the floor that was turned down to try to help this situation. I don't know.
But I hate to hear. I hate to hear us use the comment. He had to be a president for all people. No, your job. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. But if your people are dying in the streets, it is your job as the president, regardless if they are black or white. And you can't avoid the black issue saying, well, I'm the president for everybody. You weren't my president because you allowed things to happen and did nothing.
Now, I will agree with you if Obama would have done, like say if a white person got killed and he had a law that came across the board that took care of white people and not blacks. I think too many people is fighting against him to try to get those laws out. I don't think he could come down as a black savior and say, white man killed a black guy, y'all do something about it. I don't think it's that easy. Now, did he do something? He probably had some stuff done under the cover to try to help black people that you probably didn't see. But we don't know.
You can say the same thing about Donald Trump. He did some stuff with black people that we didn't see and we don't know.
Well,
and he said some good things that we don't see and we don't know.
Talk a lot. Obama didn't talk a lot. Trump tweets every 5 minutes about something that sends people off.
I agree with Mark on this, and I will also say this. I will give my left leg for George Bush over Donald Trump right now. I would tear George Bush up when he was president. But right now, I give my left leg if George Bush could be president again and we could get rid of Donald Trump.
Trump wants to fight.
What has any sitting president done for black people?
Nothing.
So then I'm like, so we shouldn't hold Barack Obama. We can't hold Barack Obama in this great place when if I had the power to affect any level of change in any black community.
Did he have the power?
He had the power. Well, if we don't criticize Donald Trump, we need to shut up about, if we don't criticize Obama, we need to shut up about Trump, because then Trump gets off.
I will say this.
Trump tells you what's on his mind.
I will say this.
Never told you what's on his mind.
I will say this. As a black man in America, and especially as corporate America, knowing how difficult it is to maneuver and move and even get a promotion at times, I can only imagine how difficult it was for Barack Obama to get anything done without all these white people looking over his shoulders like, who you doing that for? What's that? Who's this for? What's that? What's it? We seen how he aged in 8 years, and we know how black people supposed to age. So we look at Michelle, how she aged over 8 years, and how Barack aged over 8 years. Yes, he's biracial. But melanin should have kept him a little bit younger than it did.
Yeah, but I want to use your corporate analogy as well. Like if I sit on a seat in a company and I'm the vice president of anything in a corporation, and I'm in HR and I see some black person being discriminated against, and I'm like, wait, I'm HR for the entire company. So let me not solution this problem because I'm in a tough seat and I know how this is going to look. So it's like, no, if I have the power, that is what we've been taught for years. If you have the power, you have the responsibility as a black person to help an issue. I'm not asking you to give black people $100 a piece for no reason.
Right.
But a lot of times we hurt each other trying not for white people to question, are we taking care of black folks when they take care of white folks every day? Every day they get loans that they are not qualified for. Every day legislation happens to benefit them. If you go back and look, Bush helped the oil people. You had now Trump is helping whoever, and he ain't saying I'm the president of everybody, but we hold black people to a higher standard. We just treat them like everybody else. Treat us like everybody else.
That's white privilege.
Let me tell you this real quick. When you said that, it brought back when I got suspended at Triumph for calling the white dude uneducated white trash.
You love that statement, though.
Oh, I love it. I snapped. Let me tell you it was a black man that was head of HR. That suspended me. Mm-hmm. He came in, he patted me on the shoulder. He said, what you said was wrong. It offended a lot of people, and now we're gonna take some money out your pocket. That's all he said. He never come back, and after I returned to work to talk to me about racism, he didn't say nothing about it. The people that was, it was other black folks in salary, scared to talk to me. Mm-hmm. Like basically saying, don't get around Marcus. Because why? They want to keep their jobs. Some people that gets up in them higher levels ain't gonna fool with you because they want to keep a job, they want to keep their house, and they want to keep their money. So if they live in a nice home, why they want to help me when they're probably making over $100,000 a year and I'm making $50,000 a year? Why would they care about helping me? You ain't nothing.
But is that part of the problem?
No, that's the problem. But that's been here since a year. That's been here before you and I was born, and it's gonna be here after. No, it's not right. It's not right. But it's gonna be here till afterwards. It makes us mad. But when you put Obama saying he ain't doing enough for black people, I want you to Google what laws and legislation that he passed to help African. I don't know. But up front, I don't know what he passed because I'm not political enough to educate myself to know. Maybe Trace know. I don't know what did Obama do enough. I just know I didn't go hungry, and my kids didn't go hungry during the Obama era. That's all I know.
I started talking about my president and moved on to the black police officers.
That ain't Steve president.
What is their role in all of this?
That's all I'm about to say.
I'm going to go back to Obama, and he didn't get his act together.
Steve was an Obama basher. I love Obama. Steve was a fool with him.
I feel like I can't talk about Obama because locally and in Congress, if we ain't got that, then no matter what Obama would have put in the first place, they would have batted that down like badminton. So
go back to his first couple of years. He had the House, the Senate, and the White House, all Democrat.
Right. Yeah, he did, but at the same time, you know how that is when it comes to the all Democrat thing. And I think that's a whole different conversation too.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's coming up.
I thought you the big corporate man. Crap, you should know that.
Let me ask y'all real quick. The black police officer in the midst of all of this, I mean, there's a revolution facing. There's monumental change coming to the police force. I mean, I don't see how there can be any other way around that. What is the role of the black police officer into this? What is he to do? I mean, he's between a rock and a hard place at this point.
Well, he's a police officer for everyone. And now, see how that works? See how that works?
Look, I think like this. One, we should be policing our own communities. So if there's a black police officer that wants to police his community, I can't call him anything. For sure cannot be me. But I can't say, like, if I talk to a black officer and say, hey man, why did you want to become a police officer, especially with, you know, what this country has, what based off of what policing truly is and where it came from. And if you say, man, I just wanted to be in my own community, I cannot knock that. Like, I can't say that. Because now, if he pull up with somebody on the street, you know, in his community, on his street, then that kid has a higher chance, a black kid has a higher chance of keeping it moving and getting his ticket and moving on about his day.
Well, you gotta see, it's not enough, but even Metro needs police officers right now.
For sure.
They need that. And you gotta look at how many blacks even applying for that job.
Not I said
right now. I don't know the statistics of how many black people applying just for Metro.
It's very low.
Okay, you say it's very low?
Extremely low.
Okay, extremely low. So if you don't have a lot of black men applying to be police officers, you're gonna get white. Right. And then you don't know what, even though they had the training to protect and serve, we don't know what they was taught growing up. We don't know that. We don't know if they was taught love. You don't know if they was taught hate. I've been put over, like I said, about a black officer, and the black officer talked crap to me, talked trash to me. I've been pulled over by a white officer who was cool with me. It happened. So the black officer, like, roll down your windows. This is like 1 o'clock in the morning. I said, dude, I just got off of work. You didn't hear what I told you. Roll down all your windows right now. And he called for backup. And I was like, all over this? And he's searching my car like I'm a drug dealer. And all this was because my windows too tinted. And then the white officer pulled me over. He said, you know why I pull you over? He said, your window's too dark. And I knew that. I should have got my windows untinted, but I left them dark.
But there's one thing here. There's one major thing you're missing, though.
Let me say this one thing before you get your point out. The last time I got pulled over, and I'll be quiet. The last time I got pulled over by Hickory Hollow Mall, I got pulled over by a black officer. I had my license and registration hanging out the car before he got to my car. And he said, why you have all this stuff hanging out your car now? I said, well, I ain't want to get shot. He said, no, man, it's just a myth. That's what he told me. He said, he told me. That's what he said. I'm baffled by it. But he says, young man, you making yourself look guilty when you have your license, registration, and proof of insurance. It's in my sun visor right now. If I get pulled over, I pop it right out my sun visor, all three. And I have it hanging out the car so they can go ahead and get it. But he says
organization makes you look guilty. Yeah.
He said, that's what he said. The black officer said that makes you look guilty because you had everything hanging out the car ready for him when you pulled up. And to this day, I've never understood why did he say that to me. Why did he say I look guilty? Because I had everything I knew you were going to ask me. You already had it already, right? Already ready for him when he pulled up. And it was during the daytime. And that was the last time I was pulled over. It was by a black officer. And he said that to me. And I told my dad that. He said, you better keep that crap in that sun visor. Just in case. He wouldn't told me that about putting all my stuff in my sun visor just in case I get pulled over and you ain't rambling for nothing, hoping you don't get shot. If you down there rambling looking for license and blah, 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 you might get shot. Who knows? That's what I had to say.
No, and I know the key difference in that is this. One, obviously, he's on the Tom side, and he's conformed to an ideology because he's not with his community, even on the police force. Even on the police force, his stress every day is conforming to the utmost. He can't even sneeze like a black person, whatever that sounds like. And then, then he gonna see the separation in that family he has. So now I'm not saying it's right at all. I'm saying that's what he is doing. So, so at the same time, it's the numbers are minimal or minuscule when it comes to black officers or black people signing up to become officers, and because we already know that it was already a family of people that didn't seem to have our best interests in the first place. So why would I join that family? But that's when you go back to the root of it. If at the end of the day, everybody should police their own communities in general, just based off familiarity and what policing is by definition. So.
And I tend to agree. I mean, you just feel the difference, if you go to Atlanta, you drive down Atlanta, and, even if you see police officers there, I don't get the same level of anxiety or fear that I get anywhere else, particularly here, is because when you have your own people there, of course you got nuts, we got black folk that are crazy too. Right. But I mean, just over the general mentality, there is an understanding of us and an understanding of our culture. I mean, it's an understanding that the music may be a little bit loud. We may be having our windows a little bit tinted. That's not being a criminal. That's just things that we do as a people. We may have shiny rims on it. It doesn't mean I sell drugs. So there's another level of understanding in that. I remember when I was coming back from the NBA All-Star weekend, and I was driving back, and I had Kappa plates on the inside. And the officer pulled over, is like, so what are you a diplomat or something? Like, because he just saw the coat of arms on there and did not understand that it was just a fraternity shield. And he's like, oh, so you're a diplomat or what are you? And I'm like, no. I'm like, but if some in our community see that and they then have an understanding. I'm not a threat. I'm not this. I'm not that. And, so I think all those things play effect that we have to police. We have to police our own community. And if we had more qualified black police officers, I think we would be better off.
Agreed. I can't disagree with that. Let me real quick before we jump to our next part. Let me get your opinions on this thing that we've been seeing pop up, which has actually been rather mind-blowing, this issue of the white instigator, government plants, police officers in posing as protesters to bust out windows and throw bricks through buildings and set stuff on fire. Thoughts? Just what do we, I mean, there's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
Counterintelligence program, COINTELPRO, the destruction of the Black Panther Party, the assassination of Fred. I mean, like, none of this stuff is new, but to still be seeing it in 2020, does it not blow your mind? I guess is all I'm asking.
I guess because it looks so clean on these brand new phones we got, and it's so clear. That's the only thing that's mind blowing. But besides that, for sure not. It's funny. I sent my mother-in-law a video of police officers taking out bricks of the back of their truck.
I seen it.
And I was showing her, and she was like, "Oh my God, wow!" And I was like, "Yeah." And so I got a homegirl, white homegirl. I showed her that. She says, "This shit is diabolical."
Yeah.
And I'm like, exactly. We living with diabolical on our shoulders every day. Like, why?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I think it's there to, of course, to strengthen the narrative so they can criminalize everything or any outpour of emotion when we are being victimized and oppressed. So I think that's a part of it.
Yeah, and I think it's just too. It's another way, and I mean, it's the same methodologies that has been used against us for years. Like there's many tapes now of police officers being caught on body cams, planting crack cocaine in cars and all those things. And I just think now they are used to a Cold War and we are not. Like we would never imagine that there is somebody that is working with the cause and they're not for us. Like, I mean, they did that from, I mean, even Al Sharpton said that he was an informant for the FBI. I mean, you start to say, like, this is nothing new for us. And it's just another way to change the narrative of what really should happen. Colin Kaepernick was kneeling, and then every day on the news, ESPN, they tried to find a way to change the narrative of what he was kneeling for. What was then to say, well, he's disrespecting the flag, he's disrespecting a song. I don't even know how you can disrespect a song. So you disrespecting the song, you disrespect the flag, and it's just a way to change the narrative. And yeah, they're out there. I guarantee in that crowd amongst all these people, you have the TBI, the FBI, Metro Police, you know, all these counterintelligence people to know what is happening. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised at all. I think it's just a part of the game.
I didn't even know all this was going on, like I said, till my mom said, Mark, it's more white people doing more damage than black people in this whole thing. So I was really baffled by it until I started listening more, because with me, with news and politics, I didn't listen a whole lot. I kind of looked at a little bit of it, and I was like, it's about all I can take. And when she told me that, I started listening to it more and more. So I listened to different commentators talk about undercover cops that's out here putting Black Lives Matter. I've seen a few things on social media where they went off on these white ladies who were spraying Black Lives Matter on Starbucks, and they were white.
Right.
And they took off running. So we fighting something that I don't think we really understand. I think we fighting something we really don't understand. And with white supremacy groups out there, they probably infiltrating and trying to act like us, but then trying to get some stuff started. So I think it's just time for us to wake up. And then when you're out here protesting, make sure, I guess, I mean, I'm not a protester. I'm just not. I'm a protester that says I educate. And that's what I try to do, try to teach to avoid a situation. But I think everybody need to just keep a lookout, because now you got instigators out here want some stuff to start and looking forward to some stuff to start. Because I don't know if y'all seen the riot at CNN. Did y'all see that riot at CNN? Y'all seen the white dude with the skateboard?
Yeah.
The white dude. He was with that skateboard. He was tagging that window. And I'm saying to myself, why are you mad? Why are you that mad that you gonna tell CNN building and then you going off on the cops? And that's what opened my eyes to say, man, some of these white folks are playing games to try to make us look even worse. Mm-hmm. The dude out there busting a skateboard over a window, that ain't gonna solve nothing. It ain't gonna solve nothing but you busting that window, and then he cut up his hand. What did it solve? Nothing. But it just shows that everybody who's out here trying to do, like you guys said, a peaceful protest, some people just want to start some mess.
Right. Some people do, but I think for me, when I see that, I hope, because I'm never a believer if anything is the truth, and that man lost his life, like thousands, dozens of thousands of us over the America's history, but when you start to see these things even more, where other people are damaging things, and there's planted bricks outside, and there's undercover police officers spray painting and knocking out windows, and there it was I think it was a mayor, or it was a news correspondent in the crowd with his phone playing gunshots, and they caught him and asked him, and he tried to play stupid. So like those things is what I want people to see, to say, hey, all right, they want to play. They playing a whole different ball game. So we need
different game.
We need to critically think every single minute strategy, just like whoever else has in putting these things in place, to defame us, but to even stamp more on our who we are, on what we're trying to do, and what this all means. So that's how I feel about, you know, these other people looting and these police officers that we're finding. I think it's time to take a step back and say we really need our critical thinkers to come up with plans and options in order for us to move differently.